in Manipur, focusing on Manipur, because every day we must talk a little bit about Manipur. We should make sure that it still remains relevant and in the mainstream.
See,
Because
Manipur will always be relevant
it is
because
burning.
it is
And
burning, and we are, before we go, we have to also say, Kabir, that we are always pushing for peace. We are trying to
certainly,
bring in all the factors that are responsible, and at News9, we've been always pushing for peace in Manipur and hope that, peace prevails in Manipur as fast as possible. Because when it comes to Manipur, I mean, there is nothing we can actually say other than the fact that we have to come to the talking table. We have to have talks over there. Kabir, you were in fact trying to.
so the Supreme Court, on Manipur has already come and said that army is under civilian control and can't breach that rule for Manipur. But a bigger problem right now, Varghese, it seems, is that there are looted weapons with the people. We've seen quadcopters being used, and we've seen indiscriminate firing. But the sophistication of the weapons that they have
Can
is
you
too
just
much.
read? I think you have that report with you on that this thing. It is interesting to see that in that report they were speaking about LMGs. They were speaking about light machine guns, and they were speaking about mortars as well. So this is the kind of weaponry that is in circulation, Kabir. And I think you have the report with you. Just can you read some of those excerpts from there? I just saw that report and I was actually shocked because the kind
it's a
of
Times of
weaponry.
India scoop, it seems like. I'm reading it from the Times of India. It says, light machine guns, mortars, arsenal of looted weapons still untraced in Manipur. Important note here, still untraced. Now, just 1,000 out of the 4,000 arms have been recovered. Weapons that were looted from armories include INSAS rifles, .303 rifles, 9mm pistols, carbines, Kalashnikov rifles, which are the AKs, Excalibur rifles and MP5s, mortars, and light machine guns. That's the slew of and the range of weapons, the sophistication of weapons that were looted. Just 1,000 out of the 4,000 arms have been recovered. Telescopes for rifles, night vision binoculars, bayonets, bulletproof helmets, tear gas guns and shells, along with stun grenades and anti-riot guns. These were also looted from these armories. Now, the mobs stormed the Directorate of Forensic Sciences, Manipur, vandalized it, and looted arms and ammunition kept there as evidence related to court cases. So, all those court cases, evidence from that has also been taken away. Just about a quarter of the 4,000 plus weapons that were looted in over 2 months have been recovered so far, despite repeated appeals by the politicians. So, I mean, this is proper gaming PUBG-like scenario. I mean, you've got telescopes, you've got night vision glasses.
Look at the kind of sophistication. You're talking about a huge armory of weapons, which technically is a war cache that we are looking at. And being in the hands of the feuding parties is the most biggest concern, because, when you have sophisticated weapons like a light machine gun, or you have a sophisticated weapon like
it's a warlike arsenal.
That's what it is. It's a warlike arsenal. It's a war cache that we are talking about. And you have night goggles also. I think that's what you read out. There were night goggles and there are carbines as well. And then Kalashnikovs are there. So it is kind of heavy weapon that we are looking at in the hands of feuding parties in Manipur. So remember, from the time we've been speaking of on Manipur, I've been saying that the first thing that any government should do is to ensure that the weapons are completely out of hands of the people. Completely, it should be out of hands of the people. And that is the reason why we need to ensure that there is some kind of peace talks only after the weapons are back. Because see, when the feuding parties are in hold of such weapons, they use it to disrupt even the possibility or even scare people who want to come to the table. So first, the weapons should go out of circulation, and this includes any sort of hunting rifles that are there with people also. We must ensure that these things just fall back. It shouldn't be in the hands of the people at all. See, also, the Protect Lives in Manipur Act on Suggestions is what the SE has in fact said on Manipur. The top court statement came as it heard an array of pleas demanding a spate of orders ranging from investigation into the ethnic clashes which has overrun the states, as well as it's by claiming around 150 lives now, to ordering deployment of additional security forces. So Turning down the plea, the court said in the order, maintenance of law and order and preservation of security state falls in the executive domain. We are conscious that it won't be proper for this court to exercise of judicial function to pass specific orders on deployment of army and paramilitary forces. So in the plea, they were talking about some kind of deployment in areas in Manipur or possibility in their assessment would be targeted. So the court said that it cannot do that. It is within the ambit of the state government and the executive wing of the government. So
different FIRs on arms loot, Varghese, have the same story to tell. Almost every variant of sophisticated weapons supplied by Indian ordnance factories to the state armed forces was part of the loot now being used to keep Manipur on the boil. The AMOG, meaning unerring carbine, the AMOG carbine, for instance, is a select fire personal defense weapon designed and manufactured by the Ordnance Factories Board. The Excalibur rifle derives its genes from the Insas rifle, also an indigenously developed and manufactured weapon. The Ghatak assault rifle was designed specifically for counterinsurgency operations. FIRs registered at different police stations regarding each of the mob raids on armories mentioned the same sequence of events. Several thousand rioters outnumbering security personnel at each of these locations and walking away with the weapons. This is what all FIRs have to say. This is the pattern.
Look at the
Apart from the arms, the mobs also looted daylight telescopes for Insas rifles, passive night vision binoculars, bayonets, bulletproof helmets, tear gas and shells. The largest loot took place on the 28th of May at the headquarters of the 8th India Reserve Battalion at Khabesoi in Imphal East District. Punsiba Kabrabam, the inspector adjutant of the battalion, states in his FIR that a mob of around 10,000 people armed with weapons, catapults and iron rods surrounded the battalion headquarters and attacked the personnel. The rioters carried on undaunted.
Well, if you look at the kind of weapons that have, look at the irony of it, it's all Ordnance Factory Board weapons, the Excaliburs, the AMOG carbines, and also they would have looted the ammunitions for it, and then they are in possession of mortars, which would result in, area dominance kind of an exercise. So, the sophistication of these OFB weapons also speak to the fact that it is not going to be a very easy task to get these weapons back.
Exactly. How do you make sure that these weapons come back?
I mean, there is only two options. The security forces have to be alert, and wherever they can lay their hands on these weapons, they should confiscate it and get it back to the armory. They should keep sweeping and doing combo operations to recover arms and ammunitions from various stakeholders and feuding mobs. A lot of people are going to hide these weapons. You should have your human intelligence at work on the ground, where your human intelligence should be telling us where the large cache of weapons are being used, because this is no longer a riot kind of a situation we are looking at. They are using weapons, these looted weapons that are very sophisticated. They're using, even as you were pointing out, and there were reports coming in, they were using quadcopters. So it's become more complicated, and it has become
proper warlike setting.
It's a proper warlike setup that we are looking at. So I just hope the security forces are able to take up the challenge. They would take up this challenge, but then again, I mean, there's so much happening in Manipur at the moment. There is the peace effort that's being pushed in. The courts are involved. You have the security forces on the ground, and then you have these challenging situations.
To people joining us in the broadcast, we understand that we're talking about Manipur as we know it, sitting here in the studio. Job here is to tell the people, tell the world what's really happening, what's at our disposal, and set the facts out there, not to get into the nitty-gritties, and of course, making sure that peace is paramount. Of course, I don't want to use the word peace or prioritizing peace so loosely now. We're looking at 100 days of this particular, boiling of the tenuous state of Manipur. Let's only hope that good sense prevails. But the fact remains that out of the 4,000 plus weapons that were looted, nearly a quarter has been returned. And politicians are constantly appealing, and I'm sure the plight of the people on the ground is also going to be similar.